Hey guys, Jinxed here, and today I want to show you a cheap and easy way to beat Heatran. Before we get started, a huge thank you to Bjorn from Team Bless the Fallen for coming up with this strategy and working collaboratively with me for a long period to work it out. If there are any updates or optimizations made to it, I'll make sure to add them to the document linked in the description. I'm first going to go over the rewards, then how to get to the fight, the mechanics of the fight, the strategy and Pokemon we'll use, and then I'll show you how it all comes together in a run. The rewards for beating Heatran are that you get to keep your own Heatran and 30 Magma Stones once every 3 months that you clear it. In addition to this, you'll also get 20 Magma Stones if you clear it as a weekly. To get to the fight, you'll first need to have a full OT dex done to get to the raid den in Stark Mountain in Sinnoh. This is another benefit to completing your dex now, in addition to Mount Silver. You also need to bring 4 of your own OTs into this battle. This means you need to breed your own Pokemon, you can't just buy or trade them with teammates. After that, you'll need to follow the path as shown here, and when you're finished to leave, you can just use them on with Dig or the Dig Ocarina if you have it. You'll also need Strength, Rock Climb, and Rock Smash. All of these can be taught to the team that we're bringing, so if you don't have the Ocarinas, you should be fine. Here's a breakdown of some of the Mons that we'll have on the teams and the relevant HMs that they can learn. Now let's take a look at the mechanics. The first mechanic that you'll see in this fight is at the start of the fight, Heatran will make a magma pool that will damage and burn any Mons who come in on the ground. At 80%, it'll set up Stealth Rocks. At 67%, it'll use Roar, swapping out all the Pokemon. At 50%, it's going to use Iron Defense. At 40%, it'll use Adaptation, making the damage type that has done the most damage to it so far become resisted, and at 25% it'll use a barrier shield, requiring a reduction to a defensive stat, followed by attacks that match that reduction. In this strat, we'll be using fake tears to reduce special defense, and then using special attacks to break the shield. Other than that, Heatran will have the following moveset: Magma Storm, Solar Beam, Power Gem, and Earth Power. In this strat, we will be doing everything we can to reduce its use of Magma Storm, since it'll remove Rain, and we're going to be using Rain in this strategy, and also it adds that AoE damage over time effect. Heatran will also come with the item Leftovers, which will have to be removed. The fight only has a 4% damage cap, so it's important to reduce the healing, since we will be having to fight it out longer than our standard DPS check raids. Now that we understand the mechanics of the fight, let's take a look at the general strategy that we're going to be using. I'll do a turn-by-turn breakdown of the strategy and the builds that we need to do at each stage of the fight. The first thing we need to do is to reset for the right ads. Luckily, Torkoal will always spawn on the left side, but we will need Magmortar on the right side. Any other ad will be too fast to deal with, or it'll be Golem, which can explode and then bring in a random ad. So it's best to just reset until you get Torkoal and Magmortar in. This means any Mons that are on the right side will need to outspeed Magmortar, who has a 259 speed, so you'll need 260 speed on all the Mons on the right side. Keep this in mind when considering alternative replacement Pokemon. Going into turn 1, you'll want all 3 players with damaging moves and 1 with Thief or Covet. The Mons here don't really matter too much as long as they can reach the damage cap. Excadrill, Mamoswine, Crocodile, or any other hard-hitting ground user can be used here and can use a choice band. You can probably use a fighting Mon here also, just make sure that they're fast enough. Again, you'll need 260 speed if you're on the right side, however, if you're on the left, you only need 254 speed to outspeed Heatran. The right attacker will need a single target attack, such as Drill Run, to ensure that you don't hit Magmortar. Due to this, I recommend positioning the Thief user on the right to make it easier so that you could just slot in any 2 Earthquake users on the left side, since most people already have a bunch of those ready. The builds aren't too important, just make sure you have max IV and EV, and plus attack nature, and that they're fast enough to outspeed either Heatran or Magmortar. Most things can hit 4% here with a pretty solid damage stat. As you go into turn 2, you want a Pelipper and Gliscor on the left side, and 2 special attacking Nidokings on the right. It's best to go with max attack and speed EVs on Gliscor, with low special defense and HP here to ensure it gets knocked out. Naughty Nature is ideal here with 31 attack IV. You don't actually need any speed IVs to outspeed Heatran, as long as you have 252 speed EV. So just go with 31 attack and Naughty Nature and you can breed this thing up really cheap. Gliscor will be using a ground gem and move Bulldoze. This will do some damage, about 2.4%, but will mainly lower the speed of Heatran, helping out Pelipper on this turn and also help out the turn 3 Mons outspeed. Gliscor is the best pick here because it has flying, so it's not affected by the damage reduction of the burn from Magma Pool, and it also gets Stab on Bulldoze. You might be able to make use of a Hydreigon or Flygon if you have them, because they have Levitate, but it could trigger more Magma Storms, since he seems to like to Magma Storm, especially Flygon for some reason. Pelipper will want max special attack and speed IVs and EVs here, and prefer a special attack nature. It'll be using a Water Gem for its item and Weather Ball for its attack. Make sure it has a Drizzle ability because we need it to shut off the sun and set rain. Remember, the Add Torkoal will set sun right at the start of the fight, so setting up rain here doesn't just set rain, but it also removes the sun. The two Nidokings will want max special attack and speed IVs and EVs, and any other plus special attack nature that doesn't have minus speed. These two will be using Life Orb as their item and Earth Power as their attack. None of the defensive stats really matter here, as everything will need to get knocked out anyways. If you end up in a situation where either something survives in this turn or two Magma Storms come in, you will have to reset. It's very unlikely that you'll get hit with two Magma Storms here, but I just want to mention it because it is possible. The reason for this is we will get a sun reset. It's totally fine if the rain goes away with one Magma Storm, but having sun in the next turn will cause problems. As we go into turn 3, the two left people will be using Octillery, while the two right people will be using Xatu. The Octilleries will need the Suction Cup's ability to prevent them from getting roared out, along with max special attack and speed EVs. I'd recommend 31 special attack and speed, since Octillery is a great raid mon anyways, but you should only need 11 speed IV if you want to outspeed the bulldozed Heatran, as long as you have that 252 speed EV. Any special attack nature works here, as long as it's not minus speed, but of course Modest is ideal here. If you're breeding this, I highly recommend putting the Egg Move Water Spout on it, just for general raid usage, although you will be using Hydro Pump here. Use Choice Specs on this to maximize the damage. The Zatus will use the hidden ability Magic Bounce to prevent the roar from affecting them, giving you control of what mons go in next. The Zatu stats don't matter really at all, just make sure that they have over 260 speed, which requires a minimum of 3 speed IV as long as you have 252 EV and you don't have a minus speed nature. Make sure you have that hidden ability on this also. The only moves that they need is Defog to remove the rocks in Magma Pool, along with reducing Heatran's evasiveness so that we can hit Hydro Pump at 100% accuracy. Coming into turn 4, we're going to put Starmie and Pelipper on the left side, and 2 Flygons on the right side. The Starmie stats don't matter at all here, just make sure it's fast enough to outspeed, and it'll be using Light Screen with Light Clay. You could probably replace this with a Melodic, Rotom, or Golduck if you have them, just make sure the Golduck doesn't have Cloud9. You can bring Hydro Pump just in case it survives, but it should go down immediately here after using Light Screen. The Pelipper here will set Rain using Drizzle and use Water Sport to reduce the damage from Heatran's Magma Storm. The stats here don't really matter since you can use a Choice Scarf on it, just max the speed EVs while training, but I'd recommend sticking to the max special attack and speed and a plus special attack nature, just because then you can replace the turn 2 Pelipper to fill in that role as well with the same Pokemon. The 2 Flygons here will be the first mons who have defensive stats that matter. For IVs, they'll want 31 special attack and speed, along with a minimum of 25 HP and special defense. It'll need modest nature, and for EVs, you're going to train it with 252 special attack, 100 speed, and 158 special defense. The 100 speed will ensure that they can outspeed the Magmortar ad, and the extra EVs going into special defense increases survivability. The only move that they're going to use is Earth Power, so they're going to be using Choice Specs. As you go into turn 5, you'll need to manage a few decisions with your group. The first position person on the far left will continue into a Kingdra. Position 2 will go into either Politoed if the rain is gone, or Kingdra if the rain is up. It's very likely that Heatran has used Magma Storm on the previous turn on Flygon, so you'll probably go into Politoed here. All Kingdras should be built with 31 special attack and speed, along with 25 plus in their HP, defense, and special defense. They'll want Modest Nature and Swift Swim ability. Their EVs should be 252 special attack and 252 special defense. The position 1 player will use Mystic Water on theirs, while positions 2, 3, and 4 will have Assault Vests on their Kingdras. All Kingdras will need the moves Hydro Pump and Brine. You can use Hydro Pump until Heatran is below 50%, then swap to Brine, where it becomes stronger than Hydro Pump. Politoed should have the hidden ability Drizzle, and it'll need 31 special attack and speed, along with 25 plus in its HP and special defense, along with the timid nature. For EVs, you want 252 special attack and 252 speed on your Politoed. Use a water gem as your item and weather ball as your attack. The right two people should still have their Flygons in on this turn. From here on, you will need to adapt a little bit. The person in position 1 will have their Kingdra go down and will go into their Fake Tears user whenever the Kingdra goes down. The Fake Tears user can be anyone really, but I would recommend staying away from something like Whimsicott because you don't want to proc another Magma Storm. Jolteon or Infernape work really well here to ensure that they get hit with Earth Power rather than Magma Storm. Position 2 can bring in their Kingdra whenever their Politoed goes down, and then positions 3 and 4 will use their Politoads to keep up rain as needed on the following turns. Just make sure that they don't both come in at the same time. Remember to communicate with your teammates. From here on, just keep attacking until Heatran goes down, try to maintain your resources, and keep that rain up while doing as much damage as possible. You'll probably get an adaptation on ground, while you might even still have a Flygon in. It'll be stuck on Earth Power, just keep using it until he goes down, and then you'll bring the Kingdra in to finish it off. So that's pretty much it for the strat. Here's a summary of the strat if you want to pause and use it as a reference. Also, I have linked a doc in the description, and we'll update it with any further optimizations if we find them. With all that out of the way, let's take a look at how the run goes. After a couple resets, we got Magmortar in. So our left two Excadrills are going to Earthquake, and they won't hit Torkoal because Torkoal has the Air Balloon, and they'll easily hit damage cap on Heatran. The Weavile will Thief to steal the leftovers so that Heatran doesn't get the recovery. The right Excadrill will Drill Run on Heatran just to do that extra damage. Like I said, you could probably replace this with an Earth Power user or even a close combat fighting type. As long as it outspeeds Magmortar, it should be pretty easy to hit damage cap with most things if you're using a choice band. Coming into turn 2, we're throwing out the Pelipper to set rain and do some damage with Weather Ball. Gliscor will come in and do Bulldoze to slow down Heatran, and the two Nidokings are just going to do damage with their Earth Power. Again, Bulldoze won't hit Torkoal because of the Air Balloon. The nice thing with the setup is the Power Gem will come through and knock out Gliscor and Pelipper, whereas if you use something that's not weak to rock, he might use Magma Storm on you, which would take out the rain. This works better because he's going to Earth Power on Nidoking, and he'll Power Gem on both Pelipper and Gliscor. Now we come into Octilleries and Zatus. Again, these guys have Suction Cups and Magic Bounce to prevent them from getting swapped out. Zatu is going to double Defog on Heatran. This will make sure Hydro Pumps hit at 100% accuracy, and it'll also get rid of the Magma Pool and the Stealth Rocks. Because of the Bulldoze, the Choice Specs Octilleries will outspeed, and they can both hit with their Hydro Pumps for 4% pretty easy if there's rain. If the rain got removed because he procced a Magma Storm in the previous turn, you're still fine, but if he uses 2 Magma Storms and we go to Sun, the Hydro Pumps won't do enough damage to proc a Roar this turn, so you'll want to reset if that happens. But again, 1 Magma Storm is totally fine. You don't even need rain to do enough damage to proc the Roar. Now we come into the turn with Starmie setting up a light screen, Pelipper setting up Water Sport, again to reduce that Magma Storm damage, and the 2 Flygons are just going to be spamming Earth Power with their choice specs. The light screen and Water Sport really help the survivability, especially if Heatran does end up using Magma Storm. We want to use our Flygons early because it will proc adaptation on ground type later in the fight, so it's good to use them early so you don't get stuck unable to use them. At this point, we don't have rain up, so we want to make sure one person puts out Politoed. Since the leftmost person doesn't have a Politoed, person 2 at this point will throw in their Politoed because it's pretty much guaranteed your Flygons will be alive still. So person 3 puts in their Politoed, and the leftmost person puts in their Kingdra. Remember not to put an Assault Vest on the position 1 Kingdra. The main reason for this is the Assault Vest Kingdra is very low priority because Heatran can't do much damage to it. So if you put an Assault Vest on the position 1 Kingdra, Heatran will actually target the Flagons instead of the Kingdra, and that'll leave you in a position where the Fake Tears user is stuck with their Kingdra out and unable to get the Fake Tears in. So we make the Kingdra on the left just use Mystic Water to boost up the damage a little bit, but mostly just to reduce its survivability so it gets targeted more likely by Heatran. So now we have no rain, which is totally fine. If you end up in a situation like this where you can't get an easy Politoed out and you don't have rain, just attack through it. Our squishy Kingdra is on the left, so that's going to be the first target by Heatran, and we also procced our adaptation here. So unfortunately the Flagons aren't going to do much damage here, but they should get taken out either this turn or next, and then the Kingdras can come in and finish them off with water type attacks. Here we get our Politoed back in, setting up Rain, and Jolteon is a great Fake Tears user because he's fast, so it's really cheap and easy to breed up. You don't really need any IVs to make him outspeed Heatran, and also he'll always get Earth powered rather than Magma Storm, whereas if you use a Whimsicott, you're gonna get Magma Stormed, and that's gonna cause the rain to go away. So we got our Fake Tears up, Jolteon goes down. Now our position 1 person is out, but that's okay, they're mostly here, kind of as a support role, setting up the screen and dealing with the Fake Tear stuff. So from here on, we're pretty much just going to spam attacks with Kingdra and Flygon, and we have one more Politoed left, so whenever the position 3 Flygon goes down, we'll get our rain back with another Politoed. So in this situation, we have a Politoed available, but the rain is still up. So instead of putting our Politoed out, we're just going to swap our position 3 into Kingdra and use the rain while it's still up. And now if he Magma Storms, or even if he knocks out both Kingdras, we still have that Politoed who can outspeed and knock him out with Weather Ball. And that's that for the Octillery Heatran Strat. Hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, make sure to leave it a like. And if you appreciate all the effort that goes into making these, please subscribe for more videos just like this. Or if you want to go above and beyond and help support the growth of this channel, check out the join button below where you can support for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to all of our current supporters. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.